back. So we're going to be taking a look at this game, Legends of Runeterra. I'm not sure if you've played it before, but I'd highly recommend it if you like CCGs. This is one created by Riot Games, which they've got a high pedigree of top quality games, so it's worth taking a look at. But what we're going to do is we're going to be sort of focusing on the buttons here, capturing the default state, the active highlighted state, and using Figma's features to sort of create variants and stuff like that, and swapping between them based on whether you're hovering or anything like that, really. So there's quite a bit to get stuck into here. So it's going to be a relatively long one. But what I might end up doing is like shortening it down into 3 different videos or something like that. But we'll see how we get on. And we'll basically start with this section here. And if we're feeling brave, work on these bits. I've already prepared the icons here. Obviously, we're not going to be going into any hand-painted icons within Figma today. But if that's something you did want to know about later on, hand-painting icons and stuff like that, then let me know, and that's definitely something that we could do together in Photoshop or Procreate. But just let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. One thing that we probably will take a look at is sort of achieving this metallic effect. So this sort of metal ornate sort of frame decoration that they've created. If we sort of zoom in, it sort of looks like it might have been hand painted or created outside of a program like Figma. But to be honest, I reckon we'll be able to achieve this with the use of textures and stuff like that. So let's take a look at this and dive straight in. So I've already set my canvas up, obviously. I'm just going to divide this canvas up, so just do 120 by 640. So that'll be that little sidebar there, and that's where all of our main icons are going to sit. And then I think, we've split the screen up into nice thirds there, so I'll take this. That's all good. Just going to colorize the back, even though my base sort of canvas had a color to it anyway. Now we've sort of sectioned the screen out. It sort of makes sense that if we treated these as trays that could slide in, for example, that could be quite cool. Let me reset that background. So you could have a little slide out sort of tray like that, if you wanted to, or how they have it here. They have I can't recall if it slides out, but they have this sort of boxing going on, and that would be, that position would change based on what's in there, and that's relatively easy to do in both Figma and Unity, which you have to sort of be thinking about how you would implement these designs within Unity, really, or whatever your game engine is. Right, so we'll just leave that there for now, and we'll come back to it. We're going to work on the buttons, and as we can sort of see, these are little lozenge type style buttons. I'm not really too sure what type of material it's trying to be, but it kind of looks like leather, to be honest. But we'll see what we can do to sort of match it. So if we create our button, and we're just going to round these off. It looks like it's a little bit squashed. It's not quite the perfect sort of radius there. I'm just going to do this as the perfect radius, really, which, well, in this case would be that. There we are. So we'll select the darkest color, and this is what the core of the button is going to sit on, really. So if we do this, and as you can sort of see, if we zoom into the button, there's a little ridge to sort of make it look like it's kind of been stamped into that material or something like that. So we'll select a gradient, and let's just try and sample that brightness there, or the brighter point even. And there's gonna be these values are so close, it's kind of really hard to see what's happening right now. So I'm just gonna boost them a little bit just so we can get an idea. And I'm going to add an effect. I'll do a drop shadow, and I'm just going to brighten that up just for now. I'm going to reduce the blur a little bit, and I'm just going to pop that down really low, sort of see. So you know, by doing that, we can kind of sort of see how we've got an inner like shadow type of thing, which is achieved by this stroke, and now we've got that outer sort of glow, which is kind of going to give us the 3D effect that we're sort of looking for here, or that like letterpress effect. I believe it's something like that, and then we'll drop that down to 5, just a little bit. Just want a hint of it. Spread it a little bit. Let's drop it down even more. There we go. Something like that will do. And obviously, like I've always said, you know, you can dial these as much as you want, but for the sake of the video, I try and keep things relatively quick. So to toggle the grid on, which was what I was doing there, it's just Shift and G. It's a bit of a quick shortcut there. Okay, so let's just do button slot base. Yeah, let's do that. And oops, I've pulled it below. And then what we'll do is we'll duplicate that. So that's Command D, and pop that grid back on. And we're just gonna bring this button in a little bit, and the same on that side. Okay, just so it's following like that general sort of radius, really. So about 2 pixel sort of like space all the way around. Okay, cool. So the first thing I'll probably do is let's just sample the brightest color there, and it's a little bit complex actually what's going on here. It's quite hard to see, but we'll get it. Be alright. And then the fill. Let's see what's happening here. Cool. And there's definitely like some sort of glow, an offsetted glow of sorts. So let's try and do that. So once again, with your drop shadow, we'll bring this right up to 100 for now. There we go. So we can see what we're doing. Just bring that back down. And then the offset obviously is way too much. There you go. And that sort of just softens it a little bit, doesn't it? Something like that. At this point, we're kind of like really playing with like tiny values, really, you know. It's like subtle details. You know, it's important to sort of spend the time sort of dialing these things already early on. Cool. So I've just removed that stroke. It wasn't really giving me the effect that I needed at the time. And let's do an inner glow as well, or an inner shadow. There we go. And there's obviously some sort of light catching it here. And these are things to think about. Usually your light's sort of like up here somewhere, but yeah, there's definitely a little bit of light down here. Yeah, it's looking alright. What I might do is, I'll bring this in a little bit more, like that, and what are we on now, 4 pixels. Yeah, and then I'm going to put that stroke back on, but I'm going to set it to outside. And then let's get that gradient back out, and then we'll try and sample just some of that. So we'll see, like it is slightly lighter at the top still, so if we bring that up a little bit and just introduce a little bit more. Then we just need to, like, I guess, soften it a little bit, which is, there's definitely like a gradient stroke. Let's see, which is that one. So let's bring that down a bit, and then this one, This is going to be a bit brighter. Let's pull that back up. Something like that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's that sort of initial look. There's probably a little bit more we can do with it. If we swap this for a gradient, it might just be my eyes, you know. It looks like we could have a gradient. I might just soften the edges a little bit. There you go. And at the top, soften. Something like that. Oops, error there. 10. Cool, yeah, something like that. Looking decent. Let's put that up to 50. There we go, it's looking pretty tidy. The font. I guessed this right, I must have seen this font so many times when I worked as a front-end web developer, but this was, or at least it's very similar to Bebas New, I think that's how you say it, or Bebas New. So yeah, it's very, very similar, if it's not the same. In fact, it's not the same as it. K, if we look at it, it's very, very, like, it's very close, very similar, but just slightly different in the you know, the way those parts sort of connect to that sort of upright. But the rest, like the D, the E, the C, although slightly smaller gap here, the S, it's all very similar. But yeah, it was a pretty good educated guess on what it could be. It could actually also be, was there another font called Din or something like that? Dex. Okay, cool. And not doing anything too adventurous with the text here. I can't see any drop shadows, I can't see anything. Yeah, it's all just flat. Yeah, as you can sort of see, like, we've got the bases of the button already. So what I'll do is do main, button base, and let's do button highlight. So this one's going to be a little bit tricky, I reckon. In the game itself, this is a shader that they've created that follows the white values of the shape here of the texture, and I imagine it's some sort of noise that translates over time, and then it's all additive and stuff like that. But yeah, this is we'll try and get as close as we can. Just remove all these things, and we'll start from scratch. So we'll start with the fill. Yeah, some sort of bluey colour. If we bring it down to about there, and then obviously we'll need a stroke. There seems to be a pretty persistent pixel stroke going around, and we'll do that to match. Looks like it's probably a 2 pixel stroke here. There's an outer glow, so utilising the drop shadows again. Ramp everything back up so we can kind of see what we're working with. Utilise the spread, blurring. Yeah, and I guess it's somewhat pretty close. Cool. And there's obviously like an inner glow as well, so select inner shadow, change the offset on the Y, increase the spread, and then sample your colour. In fact, let's not increase the spread, we'll change that. It's made it too hard, if you can see. We'll just utilise the blurring here, and that'll give us a nicer fall off. Yeah, it's not actually too heavy. And let's do 70, 80. And a lot of this is just like, especially when you sort of like, you're referencing other designs and stuff like that, and you're trying to sort of break down and figure out how they managed to do it. It's it's sort of just trial and error. It's pushing stuff. It's quite unlikely you're gonna get things, you know, first time. Okay, it's looking kind of cool. It looks like it might actually be over the text, because it seems to have a sort of an additive effect on it. You see how, unless it's just my eyes again, it might be boosting the text underneath. So you could try other things. Let's take this right down just to 1% for now. And then, you know, you could try some blending modes like, you know, color dodge and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not really doing a color dodge, is it? Yeah, not really. But yeah, there's something to think about. Or maybe they're just increasing the brightness of the font there, potentially. So it's definitely a bit of a difference. Okay, cool. So that's kind of like the main part of the highlight, but there's just one sort of thing that I wanted to try. So I'll remove these, and I just wanted to soften that stroke there a little bit. I'll remove that. So what I'm going to do is I'll add an effect, and it's a layer blur. And it just, if it works out, it should just help soften things a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, something like that. That's quite nice. So we'll group these together. So that could be a highlight. Cool. Oops. Button highlight. Right, and they're like kind of essentially the two states, but we'll probably go one extra in the when we come to create the different variants for this, and then like a pressed state potentially, which will darken things. So we'll keep it quite simple. So it's your button main here. Okay, you need your text. Okay, and then we'll right click and do create component. So button main. Cool. Right, so we've got our component. That's our master component now. And we'll create a copy of it. So it's good to sort of keep your main components off the canvas. And if you want an instance of them, you can kind of like press Alt, click and drag, and then that will create as many instances as you want. And the reason you're sort of doing that is within Figma, say for example, you wanted to, you know, make a global change. Let's say you wanted the font to be bigger, you know, everywhere. You could do that, you know, from the base, and then that will have that global effect. And then the cool thing is, you can then, in the one that you might want to override, you can just select it on your canvas and change that to whatever it is you want to override it to. So yeah, keep your main components that you create off your canvas, because at some point in my time, I had like tons of buttons, and they were all over like different canvases and stuff like that, and I was like, oh yeah, which one's the main one? So it's just really hard to sort of find it. But yeah, doing it this way, you always know you've got like your design system off to the side, let's say, and everything, it becomes an instance of that. So we've created that then, and what we'll do is let's look at creating the panel styling, I guess. It looks relatively straightforward. Long gradient. It's quite high. I think there's a little bit of detailing there actually. Oh yeah, there is. So we'll do all this and just sampling all that. And like with most of this stuff, it's really heavily compressed here. If you sort of see, like, it's probably a device thing or something. But that noise is looks quite shocking. But it's essentially just noise that's been heavily compressed. So what we could do is go to our plugins, and there's like noise and texture plugin, which is kind of cool. And then that's gonna we can dial this as much as we want. You know, you can do it that way, or you could use a little bit of like noise like that. And then with the object you've got selected, you hit apply, and then it applies that noise over the top of it. You can then, like, if it's not quite right, it hasn't really worked out, you can go back in and sort of dial things further if you wanted to and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. I'm just going to bring this right down. You can even download PNGs and things like that for use in your project afterwards. So yeah, we could sort of do it that way, or there's another way, which is it's like to bring in a texture like this. So this is a 512 by 512. And then with that, you can sort of overlay it. You can create, like a little bit of detailing like that. Or you could even go to your image and then choose from library, that one. That's cool. And then color dodge or something like that. Problem is, I should have duplicated the layer. There we go. That's it. And bring it right down. Bring this right down. Then you can sort of see we've, roughly got something that resembles what's there. There seems to be like a little inner stroke or something, which has some sort of like grit or dissolve to it. We won't bake any of that into that, we're just going to utilize whatever noise is already there, to be honest. And then just sort of tap into that. You could probably use, different sort of layer styles to sort of, pick up different bits and bobs. Cool, yeah, so you got something like that. And yeah, frame detailing. And then, as with like previous videos, this is just going to be like relatively straightforward. All we're doing is we're gonna use like the Boolean operators here, and what is it? Subtract selection. There you go. And that'll give us what we need. Radius is probably a little thick, but it doesn't really matter too much right now. And then what we'll do. So one thing that's going to happen is when we go to stretch this, they're going to stretch as well. There is a way to avoid it. Create a component out of it. That's it. And then just go through. So we create the component out of it, and then go through and reset our constraints. And then, as you can sort of see, in fact you'll be able to see it a little bit better if I up this for now. As you can see, after creating the constraints, it allows you to, it respects your anchor points essentially. So now we've got that, and one of the cool things is, like I say probably every video, is these are all live, so we just go back in and the radiuses are way too big in comparison to our reference. So we just go back in and get that dialed. That's looking quite tidy. Let's put it back down again. It's quite subtle really, isn't it? Yeah. Just agreeing with myself. So that's that. Let's pop that grid on. Let's respect the grid. It should be anyway. There should be a snapping in place. Cool. But one thing, what did I just do that I said we shouldn't do? Yeah, I was using the main component again, wasn't I? So we'll take this off the canvas. Let's just colour it, and let's just, so we can see it. We'll resize it. So as you can sort of see, we build up these elements here, these reusable elements, and it just like speeds up like workflow so much later on. Not just within Figma, like these could essentially be prefabs in Unity game engine, for example, because they behave in kind of like a really similar way. Cool. Right, so that's looking all right. It's looking good. Right, let's remove this. Okay, cool. So that's in place. Positioning seems a little bit off to me. I think that's better. And that would have an effect here, so I've made the change there and it's had the effect here. Okay, cool. So we've got our buttons. Shall we create some little states for them? So in order to do that, what we need to do is select the main component there, then go up to this little icon and add a variant. There we are. And all it does is, as it says, it just adds a variant. So we've got default, we've got variant 2. Obviously we don't want it to just be called variant 2, so we should go in and change the property here, and we'll call this highlighted. That's how you spell it. There we go, highlighted. So we've got default and highlighted. Obviously, default doesn't want a highlight on it. Highlighted is fine. Maybe we can just change the order of those in the stack. Okay, cool. Right, so that's that sorted. If you click on the prototype over here, right, and then hover over these different buttons, drag this little arrow, and then on tap or while hovering, change property 1. So change to property 1 highlighted, and we could either have a dissolve, instant, smart animate. Smart animate is usually pretty cool, though that crossover from Figma into Unity isn't always one-to-one if you use that. So if you chose to use smart animate, then you would need to add a lean tween type of script to your button code, and you'd need to trigger that to play based on the state of the button component. So we'll do that, and then obviously we don't do anything with this now. Like, we don't drag that on there, that stays where it is. But what happens is when you create a component in the assets section here, you'll have your button main appear, and it shows it's got 2 variants, and what you do is you just drag that out. And this is the same, like they're still exactly the same, but for example's sake, we've got our variants like this. So let's just shift that up. Cool, something like that. And let's say we'll do decks, boards, so that'll be different game boards, won't they? And we've got guardians. So that's a few to get us started. Oh, and yeah, that one translates to emotes, I guess. Sorry, my French is absolutely terrible, and I'm assuming this is French. Yeah, out of interest, by the way, if you're ever looking for UI references without having to actually go through and play the game, then this website, which I use quite a lot, it's called Interfacing Game, and within here they've kindly captured a lot of the key screens for many games, not just this game obviously, for all sorts. They typically sort of focus on like PC games or console games. They've not really gone too deep in mobile, as you can sort of see. There's only a couple here. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, it's still actively sort of worked on. They're always populating it. But yeah, Interfacing Game is pretty cool. AIM-UI Database is another example of a website that collects or gathers loads of different UI references from all types of games. And it was created by Ed, and me and Ed are friends on Instagram. He's also a guy who's quite passionate about working in the games industry as a UI artist as well. So go and click on this website and go and check him out. And see what he's been up to. But this is his little, I say little, his side project. It's quite an impressive idea, to be honest, and very helpful as well. So yeah, big thanks to Ed for sorting that out for us. Cool. So as you can sort of see, like it's essentially like we've got the basis of things. One thing that I will do is, if you remember back when I was looking at this and I was like, that definitely looks like a different value to that. Well, now we've got our like button states. What we can do is we can select the, hopping back over to the design tab here, we can select the text object here, and if we, for our default state, if we change all text to be that dimmer version, and then for the highlighted version, which is this one, if we select and then sample that, which I think was pretty much similar, we're going to get this similar effect now. So what we can do is, we've got all of these here. Now this interaction we've added is not limited to whether you're hovering over it. You can actually set different states here, which is really cool. So select the one you want. In this case, we'll just copy that, which is cards. And we look over to here on the design tab, and we can sort of see our property is default. If we change that to highlighted, you can kind of see, all right, that's become an active state now. So it's not just a hover state, it's an active state. And if we press play here, this is going to open up a new window once it's loaded everything. And you can kind of see, if you hover over, because we wired it all in, you can quickly jump between those different states there. And if you wanted to add another one, which I think I said I was going to do, I'll duplicate the default state, and I'm going to call this, in fact, don't rename it there, rename it over here. Let's do pressed. Cool. And I'll keep this relatively simple. The pressed state will probably just be a case of taking both of these, and let's do 50%. Cool. And let's imagine we were previewing the boards one and we're in our pressed state now. Okay, so that would display a different display here. I think actually this image here has an example of it, if I can grab it correctly. Yeah. So this is actually the active state. But if you wanted depressed, or it could be disabled, for example, it's easy enough to do with this system. If you wanted me to go a little bit deeper into all of these types of features within Figma, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see if I can cobble together a video that sort of explains all that type of stuff a little bit better, a little bit more in depth. Okay, cool. So I gathered some of these icons earlier. As I mentioned, we're not painting them right now, and I'm just going to bring those onto our canvas. Cool. Just going to loosely pop them where they need to be. Now, another way to utilize this system is to have icons that will live within their own sort of, let's say, smart object or component, and you could actually probably do that quite easily if you wanted to, in a similar sort of way. So you'd create your component, and then you would add to it and then swap the images out. So what we'll do is bring all these over onto our canvas, and we're just going to loosely arrange things. Oops. And this one. And this one. Probably a better way of doing it would be to create like an auto layout and just do it that way. And then you can control the spacing in between. I'm going to group that. Home icon. Cool. So we've obviously got some text there. So if we brought that into here and pasted it inside home, pasted it inside play, collection, boards, store, we can shimmy them around if we wanted to. Sorry, my mask is just causing some problems here. Cool. That's fine. And this mask is also causing problems. I had to mask them because I couldn't find transparent versions of them, so I just took the ones that existed already and yeah, just popped a quick mask around them for the video. And then this one. So, and this one, which is home. And there's no mask there, so no problems. So home. Play. Collection. Cool. And what was it? Rewards. And what's this? Store or boutique? Cool. Cool. So that's looking good. There's a little bit of detailing going on here. Relatively easy to do. Just use the line. I'm going to group it actually, so I can pop some extra lines in there. Cool. Put that in a group. There we go. And duplicate that. There we go. I think we're a little bit even there. There we are. Cool. All right, and they've got some grunge on theirs. It's relatively easy to do. All you're going to want to do with that really is just create a mask, I reckon. So you can create a little mask. So if we just create some like random noise, use a pencil or something like this. You could do it a better way than this, but just for the quick example. Right, we've got, and then we'll flatten it. Outline stroke. Cool. That looks. It honestly, this looks shocking, but it should work. So with this, let's actually take this out for now. I'm gonna paste that over the top. Just gonna scale it and squash it. And then, so remember your mask goes below the thing you're masking. Select both, right click, use as mask. You sort of see, like it's created something. I actually need to invert this, I reckon. Or you can do it a different way, which is, if we zoom out, undo the mask, then create a box. That's it. And then put that over the top, select both, and then subtract selection, like this, and then use this as the mask. And then what that's going to do is, there you go, it's created like a bit of noise now. Just, yeah, dial it however you want really. This divider, and I'm going to create a component out of it so I can reuse it later. I'll pop that over there. Assets, divider, drag it on, yeah, and then duplicate. You can sort of see how it's starting to look. You know, this type of task, like, you can spend as long as you want on it, or as long as your your project will allow you to. But it's not always a quick job, you know, doing these types of things. Okay, cool. So as we can sort of see, like, there's a little bit of a shadow here, which allows, yeah, that sort of that illusion of depth. So let's remove the Y offset. I'm going to just drag that like this. Spread it a bit and blur it. There we go. That's looking quite tidy, isn't it? Just bring that back. Okay, cool. So that's looking good. This bit we've not done, and we should probably try and do it. I'm not entirely sure how I will do it, but I know how it will be done when we do it in the game. So you could probably go for something like this. If there's a shadow on this, you want to remove it. The gradient, you want to see their system might be a lot cleverer than the way I'm doing it here, but without sort of like really knowing how they've managed it, yeah, it's sort of hard to kind of like exactly reproduce it. But I'd go as far as sort of thinking it's something like this. Maybe this bit here is sort of feathered off, you know, with like a soft mask or something, which could be possible. So if we did this, create a mask, and then the mask aspect, we put a gradient on it. Yeah, there's probably a few ways of doing this, to be honest. Like, you probably wouldn't even need to mask it the way I'm doing it now. You could just end up, yeah, just having a gradient that just drops off like this. What you're trying to do is you're trying to make that gap there, or that join, sort of seamless. And I think for now, this is probably all right. Let me just sample my design a little bit here, and down here. Something like that. Yeah, it'd be something like this anyway. And then that would change. So based on the tab that's selected, that would slide up like this. You just have to match that gradient. I guess it depends on how much you care. You probably should care quite a lot. But for this example, this is sort of roughly the way I do it. Just adjust this inner shadow. Just spread. And then blur. There you go, something like that. It's like, it looks quite nice. They do have a line that sort of attaches to it, so we could add that in. Like an extra frame, isn't it? About halfway through. And it looks like it is some sort of gold frame. If we do. Some sort of gold detailing. Mindful of the length of this video, so I won't be too precious with this. But yeah, if we drag that out, pop that in there, there you go, it's been masked off now. So you could do that type of thing, and then obviously this one down here has the same styling, but yeah, it's done like that. You know, that type of thing. Okay, cool, so that's the tab. Let me just do one thing. Just gonna drag that. What we're dealing with. Yeah, do something like that maybe. There you go, something like that. And then that removes that edge, or you could keep that like that, and then this aspect, just mask it out, or snip it. But yeah, some interesting problems to solve with this one. So that would move up and down, look quite nice, wouldn't it? Oh, one thing's missing. this needs to sit below the icons. Cool. Yeah, as you can sort of see, like this collection icon here is the wrong icon. Well, it's not the wrong icon, it's just the wrong background. So that'd be something to fix. I'm just trying to align the spacing here a little bit. There we go, something like that. Looks like that line actually goes right over. So even, you know, it's not fully figured things out that side. And the text is, it's the brighter version, I think, you know. Oh, for this one, it's definitely the brighter version. Cool. Maybe we can get away with it being about 18. Let's do the rest. There we go. Oh, home. Did that not want to change? Oh, did I select the wrong one? There we go. It's looking quite nice. Oh, I managed to find, it won't make any sense, but it will at least look better. I managed to find one image that does look better. That is a PNG. So yeah, let's just use that for this example. Yeah, something like that. And then let's just correct all this. It's gone out of whack. Cool. A bit better. There we go. That's looking right. Obviously, hey, let's just assume that's a collection of coins, right? And then it sort of makes a little bit of sense for the context of the video. Right, okay, so we're up to like probably an hour at this point. But we're almost there, really. We've just got to do the detailing around here. And obviously this aspect is, you've got these joints here that we just need to probably just get rid of, to be honest. There we go. Just remove that for the video. But yeah, you'd need to figure out how, more importantly, how you would do that in Engine. Not necessarily how you do it in this program here. Okay, cool. Right, so we've got this detailing here to do, which to me it looks like they've created one, maybe it's hand painted, and they flipped it because obviously, you know, you've got your highlights up there, and then you've got your shadows pointing in the same direction as your highlights, and that doesn't really make any sense. So all we need to do is create one and then just mirror it, essentially. I mean, no one's really going to notice like the difference in that light direction other than like artists or designers. But if you do want to like sort of take your work, you know, to the next level of sort of realism, you need to be mindful of, you know, the direction your light is coming in on your models and stuff like that. So yeah, something to think about. Right, so we'll just do this upright. And dragging these as fiddly from this level of zooming. Okay. So what we're going to do is just pulling it out a bit, soften that join, and then there seems to be like a little highlighted ridge there, so we're going to just pull that over a bit. There we are. So that's looking pretty decent. Maybe that's a bit too heavy. Okay, cool. So that's that. For the next bit, I'm just going to power through this like with a speed video, and you know, you'll get to sort of see, you know, some of the quirks and stuff like that. And one of the main reasons is the cleaner in the office is just about to start hoovering, and it's just going to be so noisy for the audio. So sit back and let's just we'll flow through this. Okay guys, so we're back. I mean, that took maybe about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But yeah, we've essentially got like the core of the effect. It isn't a one-to-one match. But to be honest, I don't think it was really created in Figma. So we're quite limited in Figma when it comes to this type of UI. But we can kind of pretty much get there. So what I'm doing now, I'm just adjusting some values here. Just trying to get that sort of final look really. Just going for a little inner glow here, just on the edge. And we shall just do a little overlay there. Cool, so that's looking pretty decent. Right, that's the trim done. Create component. Once again, drag it over, bring it back in, and just place it where you want it. And you do the same for the bottom. What's the But essentially, this is, you know, the effect that we're going for. You can sort of see how it, you know, sort of comes together now. There was a few hiccups along the way, which is probably one of the reasons why I don't do the live streams, because they would just be so boring for everyone. But yeah, this is the effect in general, and you know, I think we, you know, sort of, I think we got there based on what they have and what we have now. We're relatively close, and you know, you can spend a lot longer sort of dialing this as much as you wanted to match like for like, or just take these learnings and, you know, pop them in your own projects. But yeah, this is essentially it, and to be honest, it looks quite nice, doesn't it? Another thing you could do, just to sort of like wrap things up if you wanted, was change the position. So these would all be different tabs, and this background based on you hovering would sort of, yeah, change the position. So you could do it a few different ways. Duplicate the canvas there, and then based on this, sort of drag that down here, pop over to your prototype tab, select your canvas, select this dude, and then drag that there. So on hover or on tap, let's do on tap, and let's see what happens. And then we need a way to exit, so let's just say we'll go back, and that would be on tap as well. Okay, and that should update live. As you can sort of see, like Figma have told us that this is a hotspot, and then if you tap that, it changes based on that. And obviously the icon would look slightly different, but yeah, it's cool. And you know, this interaction of the buttons, it sort of works in between between different instances of the canvas. So yeah, something to take a look at there. Let me know how you get on in the comments below. If you found it useful, please do let me know. It's a slightly longer one than previously, but hopefully in the edit I'll cut out some of the boring parts. But yeah, guys, so that's it essentially. We've covered quite a lot here, to be honest, and there's a few interesting, you know, sort of techniques going on here, aren't there? And you know, we can take this further. If you want to see more of this sort of stuff, like the interactive prototypes and stuff like that, you know, we can do that. We can do it from the beginning through to the end, so like a proper project that's more methodical and stuff like that, more thought out, with a bit more planning. And I can take you through the entire process of creating the concepts, creating the interactive prototypes, and then even into implementation within the Unity game engine, if that's something you wanted to see. But until next time, guys, I'll catch you soon. Please like and subscribe and share with your friends.